I was living in New York City. It was 1994. I was in a family textile business, and I had a young family, and I knew it was time to get out of New York City because we were outgrowing our apartment. And I looked in the New York Times, and I saw an ad about 1 inch square that said New England businesses for sale. I always loved books. I always loved reading. When I wasn't working, I was reading. I figured I might as well combine, work and play. So I thought, why not? I called the guy, and he was a business broker, and he showed me a couple of businesses, and one of them was a bookstore. Gibson's, it started out where the old Eagle Hotel was on Main Street, and it's been in a few different places.
I think Gibson's is fascinating just because, we've been in Concord for so long. We're such a staple of the community, and we have evolved with the community.
It also was where Bread and Chocolate is now. That was where it was when I bought it in 1994, and then we moved it to where Vibes is now. And then in 2013 we moved over here.
I think it's so fascinating that this little independent bookstore in Concord has been able to grow into a big independent bookstore and thrive.
It's a much bigger space than we're used to. It's a very large independent bookstore. Probably, I believe it's the largest in northern New England in terms of just sheer size. We'd love to connect readers with writers. I mean, that's part of the mission. We have 2 or 3 or 4 book events every week with authors, and some are big, like today, and some are smaller. But no matter how big or small, it's all part of the mission.
The birds are flying so fast. And our dog is rushing after the ball, said the little girl. I see a frog jumping high into the pond. Okay, well, one more question. Yes, ma'am. What's your question of your cute hairdo?
Write that book good.
I'm sorry?
You said you write that book good.
Oh, thank you very much. And on that note, I'm going to end. And I'm going to go, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Laura. I've worked here for 6 months, and this store is the best thing in my whole life right now. Because it feels like home, it feels like a library, it feels like a place you can go on your day off, and sometimes I do.
We're in a book club, so we love to read. I love to read to my children, and I love that Gibson's is still an independent bookstore and has it all, from kids to adults.
I've been shopping here since I was a little kid. It actually used to be much smaller than it is now, so it's super cool to see how it's kind of progressed over the years. And I love independent bookstores. I'd much rather give my money to a local business.
The book business is a little more stable than it was just 5 or 10 years ago, because there were a lot of predictions of doom and gloom with e-books and e-readers taking over everything.
We survived the big box stores coming up, and we've just we're like the little engine that could. We just keep going.
The main thing, we emphasize that book knowledge and community. I mean, those are the 2 things that really drive the day-to-day. There's a lot more breaking down of cardboard and dusting than the romantic notion of the book business would have it, but the main thing that really drives us is just a passion about books.
My job is to find the perfect book for customers. So they'll come in looking.
Every book in the store was chosen by a buyer in collaboration with our sales reps from the publishers. There's a whole ecosystem out there of editors and agents and publishers reps. It's a big process. And then for reorders, I do that myself generally. I want to see what's coming in and going out.
They might have something in mind, or they might be a complete blank slate, and it's my job to help them out and put the right book in their hands, or books if I'm lucky.
It's a weird job description. You have to be sort of an extroverted introvert. It's not what most people are. Most people are one or the other. We love sharing our love of books with people, and that's what everyone who works here loves to do.
I don't know the title, I don't know the author, I don't know what it's about.
It was in the New York Times, it was in the LA Times, I heard about it on NPR.
But I think it's blue, and I will find that book for them.
A lot of the time people come in and say, what should I read next? And our response is, well, what was the last book you really liked? And then we steer them to 2 or 3 or 4 books, and if you don't want them, just give them back to us. But we think you might like these. And if you like these, come back for more.
My favorite customers are usually looking for young adult books. I love finding young teenagers who are maybe just getting back into reading. It can be a little bit frustrating in school when they're being told what to read and it maybe isn't what they're looking for. So when I can kind of reinstill that love of reading, that's my favorite.
The biggest challenge really for me is, and this is a challenge that faces any small business owner, because it's a small business. It's it's kind of a cliche now, but you have to work on the business instead of in it. What I enjoy is the nitty-gritty. So it's hard for me to pull back and think strategically. I love getting in there and seeing what people are reading and buying and figuring out what to reorder, and just working with talented people that we have here. I mean, that's a joy every day. Giving them the tools they need to build great displays and, to think about programs. Any town that doesn't have a bookstore, I'm biased, it's an extreme position, but I think it's hard to be a community without a bookstore.
They're a way of connecting the community to itself.
It's not just a place to get books, it's a place to learn and discover new things.
We have a community events board. We have, visiting authors that come in. We sell books by local authors.
I see so many people come in, off the street who have never been here, and I just see them fall in love when they walk in, and they're so blown away by the selection that we have and the magic that is in a bookstore.
The one reason we wanted to make it as big as it is here is to give people room to move around and relax and discover without bumping into each other. So that's been great. I think that every town in America should have a bookstore. The book business is not an elite business. We have books at every price point, from $3 to $100. If you like to read, the price won't be an impediment. That's why we have the bargain books and a used book section now. We have a frequent buyer program that's very important, and it allows people to earn their own discounts and shop strategically. Fourth quarter's coming up. We hope that people will shift their shopping offline and away from the malls and support community. People vote with their dollars and what the kind of community they want to have. So we hope they'll vote for small independent businesses to just keep that diversity and richness alive in a thriving community like downtown Concord has become.